Okay, so let's keep on trucking, huh? Last we saw, the woman comes out of the wilderness riding the beast, riding, is it the beast or the dragon? One of them. And she's directly called Babylon. She's directly referenced as upon her forehead is Babylon. So it's referring to the woman directly. This woman, the same woman that was, sheltered in the wilderness and sheltered in the wilderness, and but gave birth to all the ones that have been chosen and the bride. She comes out here after the tribulation. She comes out riding Satan. Okay. Now, if we, so the next verse here, or the next chapter, 18, we see that right away in verse 2, again, there's a mighty cry with a strong voice saying, Babylon the Great has fallen. So again, the pronouncement is made that this woman, who is the corporate church, is fallen. Okay? Now, what happens to her? Watch this. In verse 9 and 10, on all the kings of the earth who committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off with fear of torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. Okay, you see that? So two things I want to point out here. One is 1 hour. Just said that, right? But two, it's woe, woe. Woe, woe. Okay? Now watch this. If we go down to verse 16, still talking about the same stuff. Another one, and saying, Alas, alas, woe, woe, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. For in 1 hour is so riches come to naught. So again, we're talking about 1 hour, and we have a second woe, woe. Okay? And then if we go down to verse 19, and they cast dust on their heads and cried and weeping and wailing, saying, Alas, alas, that great city wherein we were made rich. Again, talking about Babylon. Woe, woe. So 1, 2, 3, double woes. 3 double woes. Which is so remember this angel back here cried woe, woe, woe. So this was the first woe and the second woe. Well, the third woe is the Babylon. Remember, the corporate church is up in the wrath of God for 1 hour, and double woes for them. Remember, the tares only got the wrath of God. Babylon gets 3 double woes. So, okay. After the wrath is done, after this hour is complete, what happens? Well, we see in chapter 19, after all these things, I heard a great voice and much people in heaven saying, Hallelujah, salvation and glory and honor and power unto the Lord our God. Okay? Want to make a note here that we see the bride again in chapter 8 here. And it says, and to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, white and clean, clean and white. For the fine linen is the righteousness of the saints. So, and by the way, we're talking, like, let's look at 7 to make sure we know who we're talking about. Let us be glad and rejoice and give honor to him. For the marriage of the Lamb is come, and his wife hath made herself ready. And her was granted that she be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white. So again, the bride of the Lamb. The marriage has come, and the wife, which is the bride, has come. Fine linen. Remember here that the harvest is collected. Like this is just now after the hour, and that the harvest is collected. And so over that hour, so this is the bride here. We kind of continue this line. Over this hour, she got changed. She took an hour to get changed into clean linen. But she did not suffer the wrath of God. So, so here's everyone says, oh, well, the bride doesn't suffer the wrath of God, so she doesn't go into the great tribulation and this pre-trib and post-trib and blah, blah, blah. But the fact of the matter is the wrath of God is only this 1 hour. So that's what the bride doesn't have to suffer, is the hour of wrath. But pre-trib and post-trib isn't part of the equation because everybody's going through the tribulation. That's not the wrath of God. None of this is the wrath of God. The 1 hour is the wrath of God. And yes, the bride is collected first and does not have to suffer the wrath of God. In fact, is while the wrath of God's going on, she's out getting dressed. She's out getting putting on fine linen. However, we'll see that that's not her end result either, because she's a queen. This is the queen of the King of Kings. So what do you mean she's just in fine linen, right? So we'll keep track of her on the next one, and we'll keep going. Okay, so meet me there.